Imagine that some shepherd boys were looking for a lost goat near the Dead Sea, a dry and lonely place where nothing exciting ever seemed to happen. One boy, bored and desperate to find the goat, tossed a rock into a dark cave. He probably thought he would hear nothing but silence, but instead he heard something shatter like a clay jar breaking. What he didn't know was that this simple act would lead to one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries ever made. Inside that cave, hidden in those broken jars, were ancient scrolls. One of the scrolls stood out from the rest, known as the Isaiah Scroll. It remained nearly unaltered even after 200 years. Think about that. Despite the rise and fall of kingdoms, the fought wars, and the disappearance of entire civilizations, this scroll remained hidden, perfectly preserved. The scroll seemed to know the future. It described someone who would suffer, save people, and bring justice to the world. At first glance, it seemed to be referring to Jesus, but there's a problem. The scroll doesn't mention Jesus by name, not once. It doesn't call him the Son of God either. But how could someone, over 700 years before Jesus, describe events from his life so perfectly? The Isaiah Scroll, written almost 700 years before the birth of Jesus Christ, is not just an ancient text. It's a cornerstone of both history and faith. The discovery of this scroll in a cave near the Dead Sea in 1947 revealed it to be nearly completely intact, a remarkable feat considering its over 2,000-year burial. It contains 66 chapters filled with prophecies, stories, and teachings, messages that touch on humanity's deepest questions about justice, redemption, and hope. For many Christians, the Isaiah Scroll feels like a direct link to the New Testament. It describes a mysterious figure, one who will suffer for others, bring peace, and carry the weight of the world's sins. The New Testament describes Jesus Christ in almost the same way, making it difficult to avoid drawing comparisons. People have used these connections for centuries to reinforce the idea that Jesus was the prophesied Savior. But here's the twist: the scroll never names Jesus. It doesn't call this figure the Son of God, but it leaves the description vague enough that some historians say it may not be about Jesus. Some believe the text could be referring to a different savior, one who hasn't yet arrived. Others think it might symbolize the collective struggles of humanity rather than a single person. This ambiguity creates tension, not just in theological debates, but in how we understand faith itself. What if the Isaiah Scroll isn't proof of Jesus, but something more universal? Does it encompass every individual, every era, and every location? This idea is both hopeful and terrifying. It suggests that faith isn't about certainty, it's about mystery, about wrestling with the unknown. The scroll's words extend beyond mere prophecies of a savior. They talk about ideas that are bigger than any one person: justice, forgiveness, and the possibility of redemption for everyone. These themes resonate across all faiths and philosophies. They remind us that even in moments of suffering, there's a promise of light, of something better. But how could Isaiah, writing in 700 BCE, possibly know about events that would happen centuries later? Some people see this as evidence of divine inspiration, a prophet given a vision of the future by God. Others think it's proof of how deeply human struggles repeat across time, with similar patterns emerging in every age. The Isaiah Scroll challenges us to think about faith differently. It pushes us to ask hard questions. Is faith about accepting what others say, or is it about seeking out deeper truths? And what if those truths aren't associated with a particular individual or era, but rather with universal experiences of hope and suffering? The Isaiah Scroll was likely kept in a community devoted to preserving sacred knowledge. Once hidden in the Qumran caves near the Dead Sea, the Isaiah Scroll had already passed through numerous hands, each treating it as a sacred treasure, and then it vanished from history, buried in darkness, until its rediscovery in 1947. The preservation of over 25,000 words, nearly intact despite centuries of exposure to the elements, is astonishing. The area is one of the driest on Earth, with minimal humidity and little rainfall. These conditions created a natural time capsule, shielding the scrolls from decay. The storage of the scrolls in ceramic jars provided an additional layer of protection, shielding them from air and moisture. It was written on parchment, which is made from animal skin. This type of material, though fragile, can last much longer than paper when kept in the right conditions. And somehow, through all the odds, this particular scroll remained untouched and readable, making it one of the most significant finds in the entire collection of the Dead Sea Scrolls. To confirm its authenticity, scientists and archaeologists have used cutting-edge technology. Scientists performed radiocarbon dating on the scroll, placing its creation around the 2nd century BCE, hundreds of years before the time of Jesus Christ. Additionally, handwriting analysis revealed that the text was written in a style consistent with ancient Hebrew scripts used during that era. These findings support the conclusion that the scroll is an unaltered artifact from a distant past. Some researchers believe the Qumran community, often associated with the Essenes, might have edited the texts to reflect their unique worldview. However, the Isaiah scroll's content closely matches later copies of the Book of Isaiah found in modern Bibles. This consistency suggests that the scroll has been remarkably stable over time. The process of transmitting these texts is even more mind-blowing. Before the invention of printing presses, scribes wrote each copy of a manuscript by hand. Scribes dedicated their lives to replicating these texts with astonishing precision, knowing that even a small error could alter the meaning. The survival of the Isaiah scroll is a testament to their skill and devotion. But why preserve it so carefully? The answer lies in its spiritual importance. The Isaiah scroll, with its prophecies and teachings, was more than just a religious document. It was a beacon of hope, a guide for how to live, and a link between the past and the divine. Its survival wasn't just a matter of chance, it was a reflection of the profound respect ancient societies had for the knowledge it contained. At its core, the Isaiah scroll explores themes that resonate with everyone, regardless of their background. Its verses weave concepts like justice, redemption, and the search for meaning. These ideas transcend specific eras or individuals, serving as reflections of the universal human experience. When the scroll describes a figure who suffers for the greater good, it speaks to something universal. The idea that sacrifice can lead to transformation, and that pain, no matter how unbearable, can pave the way for hope. This universality is part of why the Isaiah scroll has captured the imagination of so many. It doesn't require you to belong to a specific faith to feel its power. Whether you're a Christian, a Jew, a skeptic, or someone searching for answers, the scroll's words feel personal. They invite reflection, not division. Interestingly, the Dead Sea Scrolls, including the Isaiah scroll, reflect a time when cultures and religions were more interconnected than we often realize. Found near the Dead Sea, these texts were written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, showing that the communities preserving them were not isolated. Instead, they were at a crossroads of civilizations, influenced by and contributing to the spiritual and philosophical ideas of their time. Take, for instance, the theme of a savior or a redeemer, which appears in many religions. The Isaiah scroll describes this figure as bringing peace, justice, and a sense of purpose to humanity. Christians see this as a prophecy of Jesus Christ, while others view it as a metaphor for collective human resilience or a guide to moral living. The scroll doesn't limit its message to one interpretation. It leaves space for anyone to find meaning within its words. This openness is one of the scroll's greatest strengths. It serves as a reminder that our shared humanity often outweighs the differences that divide us. By addressing universal themes, it brings together people from all walks of life. It suggests that while we may come from different traditions or hold different beliefs, we are all part of a larger story. The relevance of this perspective remains unchanged since the scroll's initial writing. In a world often marked by division, the scroll reminds us of the power of shared ideals and common values. Its message extends beyond religion and spirituality. It's about the connections between all people and the way our actions ripple across time. The scroll asks us to consider our role in creating a better world, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. It challenges us to look beyond individual struggles and see the collective journey we are all on. The scroll's themes of hope and transformation, hidden for centuries before its discovery, suggest that humanity has the capacity to renew itself. Even in the darkest times, the idea of redemption remains a guiding light. This cyclical nature mirrors the shared human experience, periods of struggle followed by renewal, much like the changing of seasons. It bridges cultural and temporal gaps, demonstrating that the questions we pose today align with those posed thousands of years ago. Its universal message of unity reminds us that, despite our differences, we were all searching for the same truths. The setting of this discovery, the Qumran caves near the Dead Sea, adds another layer of mystery. These barren cliffs, seemingly lifeless, became the hiding place for some of humanity's most profound writings. But who placed the scrolls there? Many scholars believe a Jewish sect known as the Essenes, committed to preserving sacred texts and leading a life of purity, concealed the scrolls. Others contend that the Essenes may have concealed the scrolls in times of crisis, like the Roman conquest of Judea in the 1st century CE, to safeguard them from destruction. The true story of who hid these scrolls and why remains an enigma. The Isaiah scroll itself, however, raises even deeper questions. How could a document from so long ago contain prophecies that appear to correspond with events taking place centuries later? For instance, the scroll describes a figure who suffers for others, brings justice, and transforms the world. Many have interpreted this figure as a prediction of Jesus Christ. But if that's the case, how could the writer of the scroll, living in 700 BCE, foresee events so far in the future? Some attribute this to divine inspiration, positing that the prophet Isaiah received a vision of future events. Others propose a more scientific explanation. What if time isn't as linear as we think? Could there be unknown connections between the past, present, and future? This concept, simultaneously exhilarating and disconcerting, introduces theories regarding the potential for knowledge and events to surpass temporal limitations. And then there's the question of what remains to be discovered. The Dead Sea Scrolls are one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in history, but they are also incomplete. Thousands of fragments remain untranslated or pieced together, leaving gaps in our understanding. What if other scrolls, still buried in the surrounding caves, hold revelations even more profound than those of the Isaiah scroll? The idea that we've only scratched the surface of what these ancient texts can teach us is both exciting and haunting. The preservation of the Isaiah scroll itself adds another layer of intrigue. How did this particular manuscript survive when so many others did not? Was it luck, or was it something more deliberate? Some theorize that the scroll preservation could reflect its importance, not just to the people who wrote it, but to humanity as a whole. Maybe they concealed it, anticipating a moment when their message would be most crucial. Even now, the scroll continues to puzzle researchers. Advanced scientific techniques like infrared imaging and digital reconstruction have revealed details that were once invisible to the naked eye. Yet, the more we learn, the more questions arise. Who exactly wrote this text? Did they know the impact it would have thousands of years later? Most importantly, what should we do with the knowledge it imparts? The Isaiah scroll's discovery also raises broader philosophical questions. What other treasures have history, forgotten places, or time destroyed? And what does the survival of this particular text say about the messages humanity has chosen or been chosen to preserve? The scroll challenges us to consider how much of the past still remains hidden, waiting for its moment to come to light. Its discovery, preservation, and the questions it raises form a bridge between the ancient world and our modern lives. As we continue to uncover its secrets, the scroll pushes us to look deeper, not just into the past, but into the mysteries that surround us today. If this journey into the mysteries of the Isaiah scroll and the profound questions it raises inspires you, consider supporting our work by sending us a super thank. Your contribution helps us keep uncovering the hidden stories of our world, sharing knowledge and sparking deep conversations about history, faith, and humanity. Over 2,200 years ago, in a world far removed from ours, someone carefully recorded the words of Isaiah on fragile parchment. They didn't know if these words would survive or who would find them. Yet, here we are, thousands of years later, deciphering their meaning and marveling at their endurance. What drove them to preserve these teachings so meticulously? Was it a belief that these words held timeless wisdom? Or was it something even greater, a recognition that some truths transcend the boundaries of time and culture? As we studied the Isaiah scroll, we were not just uncovering history, we were confronting some of life's biggest questions. What does it mean to hope? To believe in redemption? To seek justice in an unjust world? These aren't just ancient dilemmas, they're as relevant now as they were then. The scroll reminds us that humanity's struggles and aspirations are universal, shared by people across centuries and continents. But perhaps the most haunting question of all is this: what else remains hidden? Could the Isaiah scroll, lying undisturbed for over 2 millennia, conceal other truths awaiting our discovery? Could there be other texts, other discoveries that challenge our understanding of history and reshape the way we see the world? The survival of the scrolls is a testament to the idea that sometimes the most important truths emerge when we least expect them. Its discovery also serves as a reminder of the fragile nature of knowledge. Only a fortunate event saved the scroll from oblivion. How much wisdom has already disappeared, destroyed by time, war, or neglect? And what responsibility do we have to preserve the knowledge we hold today? The Isaiah scroll challenges us not just to seek the truth, but to protect it, ensuring that future generations have the chance to learn and grow from the insights we leave behind. It shows us that even in the face of uncertainty, the quest for understanding is worth pursuing. Its words, written so long ago, still resonate today, proving that wisdom doesn't belong to the past. It belongs to everyone who dares to seek it. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.